Practice exam problem 5 is a Mann-Whitney U test that we're going to conduct. And what we've got here, if we zoom in on the first part of our question, is that our median, and that's again a clue, median for population 1 is thought to be equal for median for population 2, and we cannot assume that the populations are normally distributed. So when we can't assume that, then we need a different type of test, which is this Mann-Whitney U test. And we're given some information about the problem here. Now if you recall, we had a whole process. This is very similar to the Wilcoxon signed rank tests, where we figure out the rankings and everything here. Luckily for us, we've got this, that part is already done for us. We've got our sum of ranks here, 171 and 129. And we'll need those to calculate the U value for 1 and the U value for 2, for population 2, excuse me. And so let's go and do that now. And to do that, we will zoom over here. And we can calculate these using the equations shown here and here. Alright, so we have then our first example, or our first population here. We'll calculate U1 equals, and we take n from 1 and n from 2, so that's 12 times 12, that should be times 12, that doesn't show up very well maybe, plus n1 is 12 times 12 plus 1 over 2 minus our value right here, 171. Okay, so let's do that. We get then what, 144. 144 plus 12 times 13. 12 times 13. 156 over 2, 78. And then we would subtract 171. Okay, so let's do that. We say 144 plus 78 minus 171 is 51. Okay, so our first one here, U1 equals 51. And now let's move down a little bit here. Come up with our same for U2, and that's actually going to be the same, right? We would have 12 times 12 because our sample sizes are equal, so that would be 144 plus, then we would have 78 again because these parts are the same since our sample sizes are equal in both populations, our samples from both populations. And then we will subtract, then the difference here is going to be that we say 129. That's kind of off the picture up here, but it's right up there at the very top, the very bottom of that. So then we would have 144 plus 78 minus 129. And there we get 93. Now another way, or a way to check your work here, is that these two values, 51 and 93, if you sum them, 51 plus 93 equals 144, which is going to be the same as n1 times n2. And that will always be the case, so it's a way that you can check your work. And so we're okay there, we've got the right values. So we've got 51 and 93, so let me go back up here, come back over here, and we'll put this on this page so we can see it. We have a 51, we said, and 93. Okay, so the critical value for alpha of where is 0.05 is 37. Okay, so in this case, we've got a little bit of a different situation than our typical hypothesis test. So we're going to have some, range here, and our critical value, let's put it there, is alpha alpha, or the u of alpha would be 37. Now here's the difference in this type of test is we're going to say for our hypothesis, or for our decision rule, if u is less than 37, if u is less than 37, reject the null, otherwise do not reject. So that's our decision rule. And what we didn't yet do is say, well, what are our hypothesis statements? And that's going to determine which of these u values we use. Now here we've got, if I go back up to the very beginning here, we say the median of 1 is thought to be equal to the median of 2. Okay, so our hypothesis statements then are going to be median of 1 equals median of 2. And the alternative is going to be that median of 1 is not equal to median of 2. So those are our statements, and our decision rule is here. And you might be wondering then, which of the two u values do I use? In a two-tailed test, you will use the smaller of the two. So in this case, we've got 51 is the smaller of our two values. So here we say 51 is going to be 51 here, it's greater than 37. So we would say, based on this result, if I make this a little larger, based on this result, we will not reject the null, and we can conclude that the medians for the two populations are the same. So if you look at this here, we say, again, we were saying if our null, the status quo was that they're equal. And if u, our calculated u, is less than 37, right, and this is the summing of all of those ranks, if it's less than that, we're going to reject the null. Again, that's the difference between this test. Normally we would say if it's greater than that, we would reject. So that's kind of opposite of what we normally do. In this case, though, that we are saying, because we are not rejecting, our result was not less than 37, we can conclude that our null statement is okay, and that the status quo holds. Alright, so refer back to your notes about how to pick the right u value when you've got an upper tail or lower tail test. And but again, for a two-tail, you're going to pick the lower u value.